what has shaken the health system in Nigeria and in other countries is clearly the COVID-19 pandemic. The countries who we all thought had very strong health systems were surprised that in many cases they could not cope. And those who had great fears for countries with very weak systems and expected the very worst didn't see that happen, which is, again, good for those who are in the low and middle income countries. But again, the knowledge and the lessons learned have strengthened the entire health system, particularly the public health security aspect, where there have been more laboratories than ever before in our history. We have more intensive care beds, more ventilators. In fact, it turned out we didn't use even a fraction of ventilators that we imported or procured, and more personal protective equipment, sanitizers. It also increased and stimulated manufacturing in pharmaceuticals, and that was a spin-off for Nigeria in that area.
If you want to call it collateral benefits, despite all the disadvantages and the disruption the pandemic has had caused to national life, what it's brought about is increased awareness and recognition of the need to invest in our national health security architecture, and it then resulted in recognition of the challenges that were existent and attracted the investments that were required to strengthen the system and, of course, respond to this pandemic. So we've had more investment in health emergency preparedness and response, both from a policy perspective in terms of strategy and costed plans. We've had more investments on ground in terms of strengthening surveillance, in terms of strengthening case management, which, for example, included the provision and construction of treatment and isolation centers across many of our hospitals in many states. We've had increased investment in risk communication, increased investment in fact, specifically talking about surveillance. We've deployed digital surveillance tools to all local governments now, and there are ongoing efforts to ensure that we deploy to all health facilities, and even down now looking at how to put in place community-based surveillance, because you need to be able to identify events or outbreaks for early response. But we also have invested substantially in diagnostics. So we've got a network of laboratories now. We continue to support these laboratories across many states and across the network. And also we've established in almost every state of the country a public health emergency operations center. These are very key because they provide a platform out of which all response to public health, any outbreak or any public health event can be done, and this will outlast COVID, specifically in terms of the benefits.
The emergence of the global coronavirus pandemic is one that has made countries to prioritize health security. Nigeria is not left behind in this, with the NCDC carrying out its mandate, which is to strengthen the nation's capacity to prevent, detect and respond to disease outbreaks.
In terms of preparedness, yes, Nigeria, as you know, had what we call a joint external evaluation, which sort of looks at countries' ability to respond to public health events, whether in the human health, animal health, or even in the environment. We didn't do so well in the first edition, and then subsequent review showed that we had made progress. And now what we continue to do to fill in the gaps in terms of health emergency preparedness and response is to also increase our investments in the states, and to help the states also put in place all that is needed for them to also respond to emergencies when they occur. So we are investing. We started in the last year and we continue to do so. We are doing state level joint external evaluations just to see where the gaps are and help the states to plug those gaps. The National Council for Health has actually approved proposals that are aimed to place states in a better position to manage emergencies when they occur.
With COVID-19 came variants, and Delta and Omicron were declared by the World Health Organization as variants of concern. Amidst the non-pharmaceutical interventions against the virus came respite, with the country recording a significant drop in infection rates. There, however, came an upsurge in the nation's COVID-19 cases somewhere along the line in the year under review. The country is currently battling with the fourth wave of COVID-19 and community spread of the Omicron variant.
Viruses mutate as they reproduce, as they are transmitted from one person to the other. As you allow for really uncontrolled transmission, they then have every opportunity to mutate. As long as that happens, we will continue to be at risk of the emergence of new variants. And new variants are emerging all of the time. What is different is that they do not always become labeled as variants of concern, or indeed before that variants of interest. For you to be labeled as a variant of concern, as you know, this variant needs to bring substantial changes to COVID epidemiology, either in terms of the number of cases it causes, increased transmissibility, reduced impact of vaccines and immune response, or increase in severity of the disease. And that's what we saw with Delta and with Omicron more recently. In terms of a previous variant combining with, or seeing mutations that combine changes that we are seeing in, say, maybe Delta or Omicron, again, that's not really surprising. As long as you have unmitigated transmission of all these variants and the virus is mutating, combinations or ongoing mutations that take into account everything, that combine everything that has previously happened can occur. What will happen is that we then become worried if any of these mutations or combinations of mutations provide the virus such an advantage that it either again becomes more transmissible or causes more severe disease or causes more adverse outcomes, especially hospitalization and deaths. And we are not seeing that yet. We've already seen what Omicron did in Nigeria in terms of a rapid increase in number of cases. In fact, for this wave, we've already had more cases reported than we had for Delta in the third wave. And if you're following the news, you can see what's going on in the US with Omicron. Hospitals are at a stretching point. Same thing is repeating itself or is being observed throughout the UK and most of Europe as well. So that's what happens. But we continue to monitor for variants. At the moment, most of our cases are Omicron. Delta was already displaced as the predominant variant by week 46. And now we have literally almost 90+% majority of cases are Omicron. But I think the key message to take away is, as long as most of the population remains unvaccinated, as long as the virus continues to be transmitted without control in populations, new variants, every opportunity is available for new variants to emerge, which is why Nigerian citizens need to do their best to get vaccinated so that we continue to reduce the risk of that happening in our population. I think there are a lot of things that could be said, but I've got to focus on what's happening at the moment, which is still COVID. We have had we have had 3 waves. We are still in the 4th wave. We can see what's going on elsewhere. We are understandably tired of the pandemic, but it's important to highlight that the pandemic is not over, okay? We should do the best that we can to make sure that we are not surprised by another variant. And what we can do is to make sure that we prevent or reduce transmission of this virus by ensuring that we are all vaccinated. If you've not been vaccinated before, please go out and get your vaccine. If you've been vaccinated, you've received 2 doses or 1 dose in the case of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, please go and get your booster. That is my message to Nigerians as far as doing all that we can do to make sure that we do not continue to be terrorized by COVID. My desire really is that for anybody who has any symptoms, including those that they think it's like what they have when they have malaria, if you have a malaria test, please do a COVID test. So testing is available, and we continue to invest in increasing access to testing. So testing is available in all our public labs and available for free. At the moment, we are also rolling out, or we are ramping up the rollout of rapid diagnostic tests in health facilities across states, and that's an ongoing process. And this is meant, of course, to increase access to testing so that people do not necessarily have to wait for PCR tests that, yes, take a longer time, and can have rapid tests immediately within 15-20 minutes and know what is going on. So testing continues to be available outside of testing that is required for travel. For case management, for contact tracing, there's the opportunity to test in all public health laboratories across the country.
The country in the year under review reported 403 confirmed Lassa fever cases in 15 states, with deaths reported. Cholera also reared its head in the year with casualties, as nearly all the states, including the FCT, reported cholera cases. Worst hit were the 6 northern states of Bauchi, Kano, Jigawa, Zamfara, Sokoto, and Katsina. In a bid to curb this outbreak in Bauchi State, which recorded the highest number of cases, benefited from the oral cholera vaccine administered in combination with other community control measures to stop the transmission of the disease.
Well, we talk about pillars of response, which usually include surveillance, case management, communication, diagnostics, emergency operations centers, and the like. And for COVID, as I highlighted earlier, as the template, the NCDC has continued to strengthen all these various pillars in terms of responding to COVID specifically during the 3rd and the 4th outbreak. Extending to other diseases, we also had Emergency Operations Center coordinating a multi-sectorial response at level 2 for cholera, because in 2021 we actually had literally the longest and most prolonged cholera outbreak that we have had in the country, where we had cholera in up to 33 states and the Federal Capital Territory. And we provided support to all of the states in responding to both cholera and COVID. We mobilized rapid response teams that were often operational in anything from 10 to 14 states at a time, especially helping states to coordinate and respond to cholera when that was going on. At the moment, we have emergency operations center going on for Lassa fever as well, which, as you know, is typically increases this time of the year between November and May during the dry season. Lassa fever has been a problem affecting a few countries in West Africa and not achieved global importance. And unfortunately, the countries that were predominantly affected also in the past had not previously invested in trying to find the vaccine, obviously because they've got competing health. You are dealing with cholera, you're dealing with meningitis, you're dealing with Lassa fever. You've got competing priorities for investments. But in the last few years, there's been increased recognition of the need to invest in that space. Nigeria had a national Lassa fever conference where research priorities were spelled out, and as a matter of fact, the NCDC, along with partners including CEPI and other, are working on Lassa fever with a view of better understanding the condition and identifying potential vaccine candidates for trials. Apart from developing our own local products, there are also ongoing efforts at the level of the ministry that I'm sure the Honorable Ministers of Health can speak better to actually establish vaccine manufacturing capacity in the country, so that at least you start off with being able to take, even if it's somebody else's product, but to manufacture it.
2021 was the year that efforts at the development of malaria vaccine recorded a huge success.
Nigeria has been part of the processes since 2010. Nigeria has attended all the meetings, all the decision-making meetings leading to the final adoption of the vaccines. And in the recent National Malaria Strategic Plan 2021 to 2025, the country has also included it as one of its interventions for the control of malaria, especially in children that are less than 5 years old. The malaria vaccine is to protect the children, especially those that are below the age of 5 years, who have not developed the partial immunity. Because when you live in an environment where there is malaria, over time you develop some level of immunity, which will not prevent you from having the infection, but will prevent you from having the severe form of the infection. In children, because they don't have this partial immunity, they are very vulnerable. They may develop the severe form, and that is why we still have hundreds of thousands of individuals still dying from malaria. Most of these are children. Like reported by WHO, about 67% of all the deaths due to malaria were in children that are less than 5 years. So with this vaccine, you give them some level of protection for a period, helping them until they get out of that year, that vulnerable years, which is the age of 5 years. It's not cast, it depends on where you are, and it depends on the level of exposure you have to mosquito bites. You may be older than 5, but you are not living where you have regular attacks. So you may be living in an endemic area, yet you don't have the partial immunity. So it is a function of getting exposed to the disease. Over time, you develop some partial immunity, which is exactly what this vaccine is trying to mimic. It gives you some partial immunity, which is not lifelong, like when you have measles vaccine and co. It is just for a while, and the vaccine, you will have to have it maybe repeatedly to be able to have some level of protection until you get out of the age of vulnerability.
The year ended on a good note for the health desk of the NTA, as the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency recognized the contributions of yours faithfully and another member of the desk, Oluseyi Adeagbo, for Nigeria's success at kicking the wild polio virus out of its shores, as well as the great support towards the country's response to the coronavirus pandemic, especially the ongoing COVID-19 vaccination and other primary healthcare services.
Thank you very much.
A standing ovation by the management and staff of the NPHCDA in appreciation of health journalists. The role of journalists as agents of change would always get a mention whenever Nigeria's polio eradication story is told. This role health journalists have also brought to bear on the various programs of the NPHCDA.
You're passionate about doing the right things. You're not trying to get news just for the sake of news. You're doing it because you know that by sharing correct information, we can work together towards getting to that road, that pathway of development that will ensure that Nigeria occupies its space in the Committee of Nations. So really, I thank you very much for your leadership.
The agency award, which was the maiden edition, was in categories comprising broadcast, print and online. Africa's largest TV network, the NTA, shone brightly at the event, clinching 2 of the awards. One for the Best Health Editor in the broadcast category, and the other, the Outstanding Correspondent Award, which went to yours faithfully.
The award means the agency itself recognizes the efforts of the media. And of course, the NTA had always been at the forefront, right from the period of polio. And of course, we're giving the best we can, even in the pandemic.
It came to me as a surprise, given that I had no prior knowledge of this. So I feel happy that I'm being recognized in this manner.
The National Primary Health Care Development Agency is the agency saddled with the mandate to control preventable diseases and improve access to basic health services, among other things.
That does it on our series of the review of the health sector in 2021. We look forward to a better and healthier 2022. Getting vaccinated against COVID-19 is a healthy and smart choice to make. A quick reminder also that you can go to our YouTube channel to watch the uploads of these and other episodes of the program. Email us for your comments and contributions at healthoptions@nta.gov.ng. I remain yours, Rabi Abdullah. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you again.
wannan labarin ma yana peji na 36.
Ita kuma babban labarin wannan jarida shine ainihin
labarin da ke gaban jarida shine ta bayyana cewa
ọkwaji ikenga eziokwu
nwanne m nwoke
Ikechukwu Ndukwe Igbo
mam iji wee mee ka ụbọchị na-aga n'anya ya
ọjọọ na-ewutelu unu
nation fún ti òwúrọ̀ yìí ibẹ̀ náà ti sọ pé àwọn ìgbìmọ̀ aláṣẹ ìpínlẹ̀ Benue pàṣẹ wípé
ní gbogbo àwọn ẹ̀ka ní ẹ̀ka ètò ẹ̀kọ́ ní ẹ̀ka ètò ìlera ní ẹ̀ka ètò ààbò.
Welcome to Abuja, the place that unites Nigeria.
There is an epidemic affecting individuals in every community, regardless of age, economic status, gender, race, religion, or nationality. It is called domestic violence. It can take a number of forms, including physical, verbal, emotional, economic, religious, or sexual abuse. The ultimate aim of domestic violence is to gain and maintain total control over its victim. Domestic violence does not discriminate. It happens among people of all ages, ethnic background, and economic levels. While women are more commonly victimized, men are also abused, especially verbally and emotionally, although sometimes even physically as well. Unfortunately, domestic violence is among the most underreported crimes worldwide for both men and women. An abuser doesn't play fair. He or she uses fear, guilt, shame, and intimidation to wear down his or her victims and keep them perpetually under his or her control. Abusers may often seem wonderful and perfect initially, but gradually become more aggressive and controlling as the relationship continues. Here are some signs of abusive tendencies: showing jealousy of the victim's family and friends, accusing victim of cheating, controlling who the victim sees, where they go, or what they do, preventing the victim from making his or her own decision, intimidating the victim with guns, knives, or other weapons. Noticing and acknowledging the signs of an abusive relationship is the first step to ending it. Therefore, abusive behavior is never acceptable, whether it is coming from a man or a woman, a teenager or an older adult. We all deserve to be valued, respected, and safe.
Did you get to see the way Ntalive about to post this? Don't forget to send in your messages.
There's a difference between picking, child, and issue. The idea that is can do more with less people.
If we have a better way of addressing these issues, taking care of.
Congratulations, you were able to sign Timo Werner from RB Leipzig.
So you take water before your workout.
People have used their phone, using TikTok to do this like
Should I go for test?
A lot of people don't even have resources.
I'm Cecil, and this is the Medley Show on NTN.
This is the network service of the NTA.
If your sum total is a mustard seed, then nurture it, water it, grow it into that tree in your rainforest.
We will be highlighting one of the prevalent social issues in our society. That we love and trust, and by people that are strangers. Dear Jake,
I am not a dreamer, but tonight I'm gonna have a dream about your seed given, fertilized in post-incubation in this womb. They would have your eyes, your lips. I am not a believer of love, but since you happened, the iceberg in the chamber that used to be my heart is beginning to thaw and to frost, and the slow melt is pulling right here, flooding this organism with the realization that true love must exist. Your first sighting of me was 20 days ago, and whether or not I believe in love at first sight, that is inconsequential, because you are shattering my worldview, making me question my ideals, my beliefs, my philosophy. Yes, I love you, and what I want is to be with you permanently. I do not want to encounter any hurdles loving you. However, in the event that I do, I will seduce you with my words, charm you with my lips, arouse you with my form, mesmerize you with my love. I will enthrall you with my desire. I will remind you with my heart that now beats and reverberates in your chest. So here's hoping this poem answers your question. Yes, I love you and will quit only when the world stops. Welcome to Our Reality with Sky. On today's episode, we'll be doing part 2 of Love, Dating, Submission. Welcome to Our Reality with Sky. On today's show, we'll be talking love, dating, submission. With us is Priska.
Hi, Sky.
Hi, reintroduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Priska Ntalive. I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a businesswoman, I'm a lover of God, a presenter, a TV host. That's it basically in a nutshell.
Right. Yeah. The last time she was here, we were talking the same thing, and she had a lot to say. So this is part 2 of the show. Priska, you heard my poem. Now I talked about, what did you think?
That was heavy. I heard it, I felt you. I heard you loud and clear. It was deep, it was real, it was practical. I mean, speaking about the hearts, the iceberg breaking and melting and falling for you, I mean, it was genuine, and I think it's what's been appreciated.
So in these parts, in sub-Saharan Africa, does love like this exist? Because you remember the last show we talked about, we ended the show with, what? Dating in recent times, and how people are more about, are more about how financially stable is a man before they date or marry.
I didn't give myself to him. Well, if that's what you're paramount about, I think you would miss this kind of love that you just expressed in this poem.
Well said.
Yeah, so you have to really, do I really want to feel this? It's really beautiful to be vulnerable and safe at the same time.
Right.
So you have to really be ready, be set to experience it and look away from every other material assets that can come with it. And along the line, if God blesses you, you have the both. It's
so I should marry a poor
love
man.
in Disney. No, that's what I'm saying. See. Get a life, oh. Don't go and say it's love you want to be eating. You'll be hungry and frustrated out of the love.
Okay, so how do we remedy it? How do we find
a balance?
Yes, because we said, for viewers who did not watch the last show, we said that according to Priska and I, we said that if you're dating somebody for material reasons, for material gain, so if you're dating to marry or just dating somebody for a phone, for payment of rent, for whatever, you are a call girl. We went gangster with it. We did not mince words. We're not sugarcoating. If you're dating for financial gain, you are a call girl. Now, in the same vein, she's saying don't date somebody who is broke. So where do we find
there is something I would never forget, and I'll tell my sons. As a man, I learned this from my pastor. He would always tell the men around us, forget about love. If you've not had your hand doing something, if you don't have something doing, forget about love. You can't be wicked to want to starve a man's daughter, somebody's child, because you're in love. So he tells every guy around him, all his members and every male around him, see, go out there and make a living for yourself before you think of love. Love can be consuming. It's so strong a force that if you don't have certain things in place, basically, you might struggle, and then the love could turn sour. So that's the balance. For men, now this is the man's responsibility. Before you fall in love with a woman, before you get a woman emotionally attached to you for real, I'm not saying you shouldn't start getting to know yourselves for real. You must have had your hand working out something. You must be going somewhere already. You must be chasing a handwork, a job, something that puts food on your table, something that gives you a roof over your head. You must be productive as a man before you engage a lady in this thing called love.
So now let's talk about intimacy prior to marriage. How intimate can I get with a partner?
Well, we just have to call a spade a spade. Most times we don't want to hear the truth, but it's the truth. It's a bitter pill to swallow. A lot of us has fallen short of it. But the fact still remains that sex before marriage is wrong.
I like that you said that.
We just have to rule that point in capital letters. Sex before marriage is wrong. It shouldn't be. It can occupy the space in which trust is supposed to grow. You're carried away, your flesh is involved, your organs are already involved. You're no longer thinking wholesomely. Sometimes your organs think for you. That is why it's not advisable. We don't advise people to engage in that sexual act before marriage, so that you can think properly, so that you can see clearly, understand these persons, because you can get biased once you're already sexually involved with someone. That emotion is so strong that it can dilute your thoughts. Exactly, basically.
So Priska, my viewers, and based off of their feedback, they're very real people. I get asked very hard questions. And when I tell people premarital sex is wrong, of course, from a Christian standpoint, we do know that.
Even both sides. The Christians and the other side.
Right. We know that. But people say to me, I do God very hard. People say to me, and when I tell people don't have sex before marriage, they say to me, and over, how do you know that you are sexually compatible prior to marriage? I have an answer for that. The answer that I give them over and over again. First of all, I'll ask you that, and then second of all, I'll ask you, is it really possible? Because people think that I'm crazy when I say don't have sex prior to getting married. Now, we've done a lot, we've said a lot. We'll let you ponder all that we've discussed, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, our viewers. We're here with Priska. Now, let's talk relationship violence or domestic violence, like relationship abuse. Yes, that sort of thing. We were talking earlier, and this is very exciting. We were talking earlier, and you said, tell, you know where I'm going with this.
Just ask the questions, sis, so that they get it.
All right, so apparently, I didn't hear the entire story because I was waiting to hear it with you, my viewers. She said something about were you beaten?
I wasn't beaten, but I was emotionally abused. I don't think I've ever felt that way. I was in a relationship with this guy. I really loved him. Well, at that time, at that stage in my life, I don't know if that was love, but I think I really felt something for him. And I was down for him. I wasn't looking elsewhere. Unfortunately, this brother wasn't even down for me, and I was just foolish in love. What broke? I didn't know all of this. So he was so smooth. He was so sleek. I didn't know all of this until I was to go to my house one day, and
you haven't told us what the emotional abuse is, because a lot of people don't.
Oh, right. Hold up, sis. So I moved my bag that I came with. I said, let me go back to my house. And then something said, just pick his phone and call someone. So I picked his phone, and I saw that he changed my name. He saved my name as baby, but he changed it to my name and added my school name, meaning I was just a basic chick. So imagine how you would feel when you see that. And then there was this other chick that I heard he liked, so he saved her name as baby. And then
so that was main chick, and then you were side.
It was like he was
what?
playing the both of
Of
us.
you. Okay, great.
None of us deserved that. Not me, not the other lady. I felt broken. I felt cheated. I felt used. I felt foolish. I started crying. I broke down.
Right.
I also got a little bit abusive because I started breaking things. It was so strong.
Did you hit him?
I didn't hit him. I broke, I think, my phone, his laptop, his phone. So I was really furious. Like, how can you do that to me?
Right.
I loved you, sir. I loved you. I loved you.
Right.
If I went to his laptop, he had deleted all our pictures, all our videos, all our good memories, and replaced it with the other. The guy was good.
Girl, you were.
The guy was good. That was terrible.
Do you think now? When I asked, were you side? I think you're in denial. I think you were side.
I was in denial.
You were a side chick because
I was a side chick because when she was coming, he replaced. Imagine.
Do you think he did it for her? Like, did you see your photos?
I would say he did it for her because she sees us together. She sees us together. Right. She hears stories about us too.
Okay, she knew about you. Or
she knew about me. She knew I was in the picture, but she was the same way I looked away, but the same way she looked away.
So both of you were.
He was playing
tolerant.
With both of us.
Yeah. Yes. So there was no side
or a buffoon.
So what was it about this guy? Was he charming? Was he really good looking? What?
You've established that it wasn't money. It's so funny. It wasn't money. Far from money. Yeah. I think what I used to rate him then is not what I used to rate him now because I'm a lot more wiser.
Right.
I liked him because to me he was handsome, but I look at him now and he looks off my spec. He looks off my type. So I was really naive. I was young.
I still have to ask, do you think that he was deleting your photos for her? Like doing what he was doing for you? Was he doing it for her?
Yes, because as at the time I was in the house, I didn't see any of her photos in his laptop. I didn't see her number saved with anything emotional. I didn't see anything on her.
So
but when I was leaving, so we were just here, I'm telling you.
Now
it
that's
sad.
That to you is emotional abuse.
Yes.
What else points to emotional abuse?
When the love you desire is not given back to you.
Did he say derogatory things to you?
No, he was so perfect. That's why it came so strong. Because I did not even imagine, like, so I've just been in denial, like I've just been living a lie. He was so perfect. I didn't think he would do that to me. He took me everywhere. What makes some young people experience this kind of thing is because they come from dysfunctional families. I come from a dysfunctional home.
Okay.
My mom and my dad, they've been separated for a very long time.
Okay.
You can imagine the traumatic event. And then the things I'm supposed to hear from my dad, oh, my baby girl, you're not supposed to do this. You're supposed to be treated like this. This is how your man is supposed to treat you. I didn't get that from my dad.
Right.
My mom only gave me what her instincts could give us, but that fatherly advice, that care, I never got it.
On Our Reality with Sky, we don't just pose questions, we try and find practical, real solutions. Now, if somebody was coming from a dysfunctional family, how do we fix that? Now, I ask these questions because these are the questions I get from my from viewers, feedback.
That's a very good question.
How do I fix it?
Yes, I think everybody who cares about where he or she is going to in life should ask this question. It's very practical and real. It's as simple. It's simple. Knowledge. Seek knowledge.
Okay.
Get a mentor.
Right.
You must make up your mind that, you know what, I will not be affected, or I will not be a victim of certain patterns of life. We all have that instinct. We have people we look up to. Oh my God, I love this family. Oh my God. That way, you'll be drawn to the person. If you can meet the person one-on-one, you'll be drawn to ask the person, hi, ma'am. Hello, sir. I'm on this journey. I love you. I love how you're doing your thing, I would want to be like you. That is how, that's getting a mentor and becoming a mentee.
Okay.
Now they would now show you the path because they've been down that road you're about to pass through. So they
Right.
show you, we advise young people, get a mentor
Okay.
in that area. If you know that you're really naive and you're not savvy in this love thing, you're always being cheated, pause. Take a break from relationships. Take a break and go submit yourself under mentorship, the right mentorship. You can say I have a mentor, but your mentor is pimping you with other men out there.
Love
so just
that.
get a rich, yeah.
So we're
someone
going
who's-
off what you said. We're going to pause and we'll be right back. Welcome back. We're talking love, dating, submission with Priska. Now we're talking about domestic or relationship abuse. Now you talked about emotional. You know, that is key. Like emotional, we don't even see it because a lot of people recognize, you know, physical abuse. And have you ever been in an abusive relationship physically?
abuse?
Yes.
No, I've not been in.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What you were talking about your friend earlier?
Yes. Yeah, so rest in peace. So that's like the summary of it.
What?
She died, yes, she died in the arms of her lover. This is someone who was supposed to love her, someone who was supposed to nurture, care for her.
This is someone you know.
Yes, someone I know. You know, the thing that hurts me more and the reason why I don't take her story lightly,
Right.
while she was going through the process, while he was always abusing her, she would call me, oh my God, Priska, I'm in the bathroom now. He's just hit me. He's hitting me. I had to run. I had to hide. And I'm like, leave the house now. Go now. Run away.
Are you sure he
and
was
guess what
letting
she
her?
says?
What?
I don't have money. This is why we say get a life. We're getting there. We're getting there. She was in love. But he was crazy. He was toxic for her. He needed help. But she didn't know. And she can't offer the kind of help that he needs. She can't give that to him. But she kept staying there. It was so bad that he would pour, maybe if he's drinking liquor, he could pour it in her eyes out of the vexation he feels or he felt at that point. One time he did it and then she calls me. I was always trying to make sure she was calm and had her senses in check. She was almost losing it. You know, long story short, one time after he dealt with her, and you know the thing about these abusive partners, they are so perfect that they would deal with you. When you're done crying, they come, they pet you, they beg you. Sometimes they cry. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I won't do it again. Sometimes they go as far as buying you gifts to shut you down, to make you quiet, to make you think, okay, he's sorry. But he does it again. And then he buys you a bigger gift. That's the same thing he did to my late friend. He was doing that to my late friend. He would get her the latest iPhone, deal with her again whenever he's upset, and then get her a car, deal with her again. You know, he would always level up the gifts so that she would always stay.
Did he love her?
Well, she said, but looking at the statistics, we would not rate that as love. You don't hurt what you love. We talked about that in the first show.
Was he an angry person?
I think he had issues. A lot of people need help, but they do not know. When people hear mental health, they think it's about people who are mad or crazy or running on the street. No, depression can make people do certain harsh and violent things. So maybe he was going through all of that and we did not know. Maybe he had certain issues he could not share or he didn't even know he had, like I said before. So she went through all of that because she thought he would change.
How did she
die? The truth is, well, after he dealt with her one time, I think they were on their way to go clean her up or something at the hospital. And
he had beaten her?
He had beaten her recently. So I think they were going to the hospital or so, somewhere. They were driving and they had an accident. And they died. And she died. So this was really heart-wrecking to me. It was really heart-wrecking. No fellow, both men and women deserve to be in an abusive relationship.
Where is
Even
he now?
men too. Well, who knows? Nobody knows. Nobody knows where he is now. He could be on the run. He could, nobody knows. But she died in his car.
Coming back from being treated after abuse.
Yes, because I remember shortly after she complained to me after a very serious batter, that incident happened. They just called